Captain Ryan Hale, a decorated officer of the United Earth Space Force, was on a routine mission, transporting supplies to a remote colony on the edge of human-explored space. The journey had been uneventful until an unexpected energy surge hit his ship, the Valiant. "What the hell was that?" Ryan muttered, struggling to regain control as the ship's systems flickered. Before he could react, a blinding light enveloped the bridge, and he felt himself being pulled away. When the light faded, Ryan found himself in an unfamiliar room, surrounded by tall, imposing alien women. Their presence was overwhelming, their gazes intense. He quickly realized he had been abducted. "Who are you? What do you want?" Ryan demanded, his voice steady despite the fear creeping in. One of the women stepped forward, her expression stern but not unkind. "I am Nayara, leader of the Amazons of Thaloria. Our people are in desperate need, and you, human, are the solution." Ryan's mind raced as he tried to comprehend the situation. "Desperate need? What are you talking about?" Nayara sighed, her eyes softening slightly. "Our species is dying. We are all female, and without new genetic material, we cannot continue. We have chosen you to help us breed a new generation." Ryan's shock turned to anger. "You abducted me for breeding? I'm not some stud you can just use." Nayara held up her hand to calm him. "We understand your anger, but we had no other choice. We will not force you, but we ask for your cooperation. Our survival depends on it." Ryan took a deep breath, trying to process the gravity of the situation. "And if I refuse?" Nyara's expression turned grim. "Then we all perish." Days passed as Ryan remained confined, treated with respect, but always under watch. The Amazons were a proud and powerful people. Their society advanced yet deeply intertwined with nature. As he learned more about their plight, Ryan's anger began to wane. He saw the desperation in their eyes, the fear of extinction. He couldn't ignore the moral dilemma he faced. Nayara approached him one evening, her demeanor less formal. "Have you made a decision, Ryan?" Ryan met her gaze, determination in his eyes. "I'll help you, but on my terms. This has to be consensual and respectful for both sides." Nayara nodded, relief washing over her face. "Agreed. Thank you, Ryan. You have given us hope." The process began with rituals to honor the new bond between Ryan and the Amazons. The first night he was paired with Liana, a warrior with a fierce yet gentle spirit. She approached him with a mix of curiosity and respect. "Are you ready?" Liana asked, her voice soft but steady. Ryan nodded, feeling a strange mix of anticipation and anxiety. "Yes, let's do this together." As they lay together, Ryan felt a deep connection forming. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual. The Amazons valued him not just as a tool but as a partner in their survival. Over the next weeks, Ryan formed bonds with several other Amazons. Each encounter was unique, filled with respect and understanding. He began to see them as individuals, each with their own strengths and vulnerabilities. One evening, as he sat with Nayara, he asked, "What will happen if this works? What's your plan for the future?" Nayara smiled, a rare sight. "If we succeed, our children will carry the best of both our species. We will thrive again, and you will always have a place here. You are one of us now." Days turned into weeks as Captain Ryan Hale continued to form bonds with the Amazons. Each encounter was unique, filled with mutual respect and understanding. He began to see the Amazons as individuals, each with their own strengths, vulnerabilities, and dreams. One evening, after a day of training and work, Ryan found himself sitting by a fire with Liana, a fierce warrior who had shown him both strength and kindness. The firelight flickered, casting shadows across her face as she spoke. "You've adjusted well," Liana said, her voice carrying a note of admiration. "It can't be easy being taken from your world and thrust into this situation." Ryan nodded, looking into the flames. "It hasn't been easy, but I see now how important this is. Your people deserve a future just like mine." Liana smiled, a rare softness in her eyes. "You've given us hope, Ryan. It's more than we could have asked for." Ryan felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of purpose and belonging he hadn't felt in a long time. "We'll make this work, Liana. Together." Just as hope began to bloom, a new threat emerged. The Draconians, a rival alien faction known for their brutality, discovered the Amazons' vulnerability and launched an attack, seeking to conquer and enslave them. The alarm sounded in the early hours of the morning. Ryan sprang to his feet, grabbing his gear and racing to the command center where Nyara was already coordinating the defense. "The Draconians have found us," Nyara said, her voice calm but determined. "We need to prepare for battle." Ryan's heart pounded with adrenaline. "I'll help. I have military experience, and I can help organize the defense." Nyara nodded, her eyes fierce. "Your help will be invaluable. Let's show them that we are not to be underestimated." The Amazons and Ryan prepared for battle, combining their advanced technology with his military tactics. The Draconians were fierce, but the Amazons were determined to protect their home. As the battle raged, Ryan fought alongside his new family, his heart pounding with adrenaline and fear. He had never felt such a sense of purpose. "Hold the line," he shouted, rallying the warriors around him. "We can't let them break through." The tide of battle finally turned in their favor when Ryan led a daring counterattack. Using his knowledge of human military strategy, he identified a weak point in the Draconian formation and exploited it, causing confusion and panic among their ranks. "Push forward," he yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We have them on the run." The Amazons fought with renewed vigor, inspired by Ryan's leadership. Together they managed to repel the Draconians, forcing them into a full retreat. Cheers erupted as the last of the invaders fled. Ryan, exhausted but exhilarated, embraced Nyara and Liana. "We did it. We protected our home." Nyara smiled, tears of relief in her eyes. "You are truly one of us now, Ryan. Thank you." Ryan looked around at the Amazons, feeling a deep sense of pride and belonging. He had found a place where he was needed, where he could make a difference. The bond he had formed with these strong, resilient women was unbreakable, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The morning after the battle, the Amazons and Ryan worked tirelessly to rebuild their village and tend to the wounded. The once serene settlement now bore the scars of the fierce conflict, but the spirit of its people remained unbroken. Ryan helped repair a damaged structure, his hands working steadily. Liana approached him, her arm in a sling from an injury sustained during the fight. "How are you holding up?" she asked, her voice soft. Ryan paused, wiping sweat from his brow. "I'm fine, just focused on getting everything back in order. What about you? That arm looks bad." Liana shrugged, wincing slightly. "I've had worse. Thanks to you, we still have a home to repair." Ryan smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "We did it together. I'm just glad we managed to repel them." Later that evening, as the sun set and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, a gathering was held to honor those who had fought and fallen. Nyara stood before the assembled Amazons, her voice strong and clear. "We have faced a great trial and emerged victorious. But we could not have done it without the bravery and leadership of Captain Ryan Hale. He has become one of us, and we owe him our gratitude." The Amazons cheered, their voices ringing through the night. Ryan stood beside Nyara, feeling a deep sense of pride and belonging. "Thank you," he said, his voice carrying across the gathering. "I'm honored to be a part of your community. We've faced great challenges, and I know there are more ahead. But together we can overcome anything." In the weeks that followed, life in the Amazon village began to return to normal. However, the threat of the Draconians still loomed large in everyone's minds. Ryan knew that they couldn't afford to wait for another attack. One afternoon, he called a meeting with Nyara, Liana, and the other leaders. "We need to take the fight to the Draconians," he said, his tone resolute. "We can't just sit here and wait for them to come back. We need to strike at their base and end this threat once and for all." Nyara nodded thoughtfully. "You're right, but their base is heavily fortified. It won't be easy." Ryan leaned forward, his eyes intense. "I've been studying their tactics and defenses. If we can infiltrate their base and disable their communication systems, we can create enough chaos to launch a successful attack." Liana, sitting beside him, added, "We'll need to gather intelligence and plan our moves carefully, but I believe we can do it. We have the skills and the determination." The leaders discussed the details of the plan, each bringing their expertise to the table. By the end of the meeting, they had a strategy in place. "We'll begin preparations immediately," Nyara said, her eyes gleaming with determination. "This is our chance to end the threat and secure our future." Ryan spent the next few days training with the Amazons, honing their combat skills and refining their tactics. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that their efforts would determine the survival of their community. One evening, as he was going over the final details of the plan, Liana approached him. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, her voice filled with both concern and resolve. Ryan looked at her, his expression serious. "I'm ready. We all are. This is something we have to do, for the future of your people." Liana nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. "For the future. We'll face it together." As they prepared for the mission, the bond between Ryan and the Amazons grew even stronger. They were no longer just allies. They were a family, united by their determination to protect their home and each other. The day of the mission arrived, and the team set out under the cover of darkness. Ryan led the way, his heart pounding with anticipation and determination. The fate of the Amazon village rested on their shoulders, and they were ready to fight for it. "We've got this," Ryan said, his voice steady. "Stay focused and stay together. We're going to end this threat once and for all." With their resolve unshakable, Ryan and the Amazons embarked on their daring mission, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would fight for their future and ensure the safety of their home. The mission to strike at the heart of the Draconian base began under the cover of night. Captain Ryan Hale, Liana, and a select team of Amazon warriors moved silently through the dense jungle that surrounded the enemy stronghold. The air was thick with tension and the sounds of nocturnal creatures, their presence a constant reminder of the danger that lay ahead. Ryan halted the group at the edge of the jungle, where the Draconian base loomed ominously. High walls, guarded towers, and patrols of armed Draconians made the fortress seem impenetrable. He motioned for the team to gather around, and they reviewed the plan one last time. "Remember, our first priority is to disable their communications," Ryan whispered, his voice barely audible. "Without their ability to coordinate, we'll have the upper hand. Stick to the plan and watch each other's backs." Liana nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. "We're ready. Let's do this." The team split into smaller groups, each tasked with a specific objective. Ryan and Liana led the main infiltration team, while others positioned themselves to create diversions and cut off escape routes. Using the cover of darkness and their advanced stealth technology, the Amazons and Ryan scaled the outer walls and slipped past the patrols. Ryan's heart pounded as they approached the communication center, knowing that the success of their mission depended on their ability to remain undetected. "Liana, take out the guards quietly," Ryan instructed, pointing to the two Draconians stationed outside the door. Liana moved with feline grace, dispatching the guards with swift, silent precision. Ryan nodded in approval and signaled the team to move in. Inside the communication center, they found a labyrinth of consoles and data terminals. Ryan and Liana worked quickly, planting charges and hacking into the systems to disable the base's communications. "Almost there," Ryan muttered, his fingers flying over the controls. "Just a few more seconds." Suddenly, the door burst open, and a squad of Draconian soldiers stormed in, weapons raised. "Intruders!" one of them shouted, firing a warning shot. The room erupted into chaos as the Draconian soldiers opened fire. Ryan and Liana dove for cover, returning fire with deadly accuracy. The sound of blaster fire echoed through the communication center, mingling with the shouts and cries of battle. "Keep them off me!" Ryan yelled, focusing on completing the sabotage. "I just need a little more time." Liana and the Amazon warriors fought fiercely, their movements a blur of coordinated strikes and evasive maneuvers. Despite their superior numbers, the Draconians struggled to gain the upper hand against the skilled and determined Amazons. Ryan finished planting the last charge and hit the detonation sequence. The communication system sparked and fizzled, the lights dimming as the entire network went offline. "It's done. Let's get out of here." The team regrouped and made their way out of the communication center, but the base was now on high alert. Alarms blared, and more Draconian soldiers swarmed the area, determined to crush the intruders. Ryan led the way, firing at the advancing Draconians as they fought their way through the base. The Amazons moved with practiced precision, covering each other's flanks and taking down enemies with lethal efficiency. "Head for the main gate," Ryan shouted over the din of battle. "We need to regroup with the others." As they neared the gate, the resistance intensified. The Draconians had set up barricades and heavy weapons, turning the exit into a deadly gauntlet. Liana took point, her eyes scanning for a way through. "There," she pointed to a narrow alleyway that led around the main defenses. We can flank them. The team followed Liana's lead, moving swiftly through the alleyway and taking out the surprised Draconians from the side. The maneuver worked, creating a breach in the enemy lines. Go, 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 Ryan urged, pushing the team forward. They burst through the main gate, rejoining the other groups who had successfully cut off the escape routes and created diversions. The Amazons and Ryan quickly regrouped, their faces grim but determined. We've disabled their communications and weakened their defenses, Ryan said, catching his breath. Now we press the attack and finish this. The final phase of their plan began as the Amazons launched a full-scale assault on the Draconian base. With their communications down, the Draconians were disorganized and vulnerable. The Amazons fought with unmatched ferocity, their unity and resolve driving them forward. Ryan and Liana led the charge, their presence inspiring the warriors around them. The battle raged on, the outcome hanging in the balance. With every step they pushed closer to victory, determined to end the threat once and for all. As the sun began to rise, casting its first light over the battlefield, it illuminated a scene of triumph. The Draconian forces, unable to withstand the relentless assault, began to retreat. The Amazons cheered, their victory hard-earned and complete. Ryan stood amidst the ruins of the Draconian base, his heart swelling with pride and relief. They had done it. Together, they had protected their home and secured a future for the Amazon people. Liana approached him, her eyes reflecting the same pride and exhaustion he felt. We did it, Ryan. We won. Ryan nodded, a smile breaking across his face. Yes, we did, and now we can finally look forward to a future without fear. As the dust settled and the last of the Draconians retreated, the Amazons and Ryan Hale stood victorious but weary. The battlefield was littered with debris and fallen soldiers, a stark reminder of the price they had paid for their freedom. The sun rose higher in the sky, casting a warm light over the scene of hard-won victory. Ryan walked through the ruins of the Draconian base, helping the wounded and coordinating efforts to secure the area. The Amazons worked with grim determination, their faces a mix of relief and sorrow for the losses they had suffered. Liana found Ryan near a collapsed section of the wall, her arm still in a sling from the previous battle. "How are we holding up?" she asked, her voice heavy with fatigue. Ryan sighed, wiping sweat from his brow. "We've taken heavy losses, but we held our ground. The Draconians won't be a threat for a long time. We need to focus on rebuilding and taking care of our wounded." Liana nodded, her expression resolute. "We'll rebuild stronger than before. We have to." As they worked, Ryan felt a growing sense of responsibility for these people who had become his family. He had found a place among them, a purpose that went beyond his previous life. The bonds he had formed with the Amazons were unbreakable, forged in the fires of battle and the hope of a shared future. In the weeks that followed, the Amazon village began to rebuild. The once scarred landscape transformed as structures were repaired and new ones erected. The community came together with renewed strength, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they had secured their future. Ryan was instrumental in the reconstruction efforts, using his engineering skills to help design and build stronger defenses. He worked closely with the Amazons, his bond with them growing deeper each day. The shared experience of the battle had united them in a way that nothing else could. One evening, as the village gathered to celebrate their progress, Nyara addressed the crowd. Her injuries had healed, and she stood tall and proud before her people. "We have faced great trials and emerged victorious. Our village is stronger than ever, and our future is secure. But we could not have done it without the bravery and leadership of Captain Ryan Hale." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with gratitude and admiration. Ryan, standing beside Liana, felt a swell of emotion at their acceptance and appreciation. Nyara continued, her voice strong. "Ryan has become one of us. He is not just an ally, but a member of our family. We honor him and all he has done for us." Ryan stepped forward, his heart pounding with pride and humility. "Thank you, Nyara, and thank you all. I am honored to be a part of this incredible community. We've faced many challenges, but together, we've overcome them. I look forward to many more years of building, protecting, and thriving with all of you." As the celebration continued, Ryan felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to see Liana, a mischievous smile on her face. "Care to join me for a walk?" Ryan nodded, following her through the village and into the surrounding forest. They walked in comfortable silence, the sounds of the celebration fading into the background. Liana finally spoke, her voice soft. "You've done so much for us, Ryan. I don't think we can ever repay you." Ryan shook his head, smiling. "You don't need to. Being here, being part of this community, is more than enough." They stopped at a clearing, the moonlight casting a gentle glow over the landscape. Liana turned to face him, her eyes reflecting the light. "I'm glad you're here, Ryan. You've changed our lives in ways we never imagined." Ryan felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of belonging that he had never felt before. "And you've changed mine. I never thought I'd find a place like this, a purpose like this." Liana stepped closer, her hand finding his. "We have a future now, thanks to you. And I'm glad to be part of it, with you." As they stood together hand in hand under the night sky, Ryan knew that this was where he was meant to be. The battles they had fought, the bonds they had forged, had led to this moment of peace and promise. Together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by their strength and their hope for the future. The Amazon village continued to thrive, and Ryan Hale found his place among them, contributing to the community in countless ways. One morning, as he worked on reinforcing the village defenses, a communication beacon activated, signaling an incoming message from a distant star system. Nayara and Liana joined Ryan as he accessed the message. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the face of an old friend and fellow officer, Lieutenant Commander Mark Hayes from the United Earth Space Force. "Ryan, I can't believe it's you," Mark exclaimed, relief and excitement evident in his voice. "We've been searching for you for months. Are you okay?" Ryan's heart leapt at the sight of his friend. "Mark, it's good to see you. I'm fine. Well, it's a long story. I found a new home here with the Amazons of Thaloria." Mark's eyes widened. "Amazons? You'll have to tell me everything. We need to send a rescue team to get you out of there." Ryan shook his head, a smile on his face. "No need for that, Mark. I'm staying here. These people have become my family, and they need me. But I could use your help in establishing a permanent communication link and possibly some support to help rebuild and strengthen our defenses." Mark's expression softened. "Understood. I'll see what I can arrange. But Ryan, we miss you back home. It's not the same without you." Ryan felt a pang of longing, but knew where his heart lay. "I miss you all too, but this is where I belong now. Let's stay in touch." After ending the transmission, Ryan turned to Nayara and Liana, who had been quietly observing. "That was an old friend. They're going to help us with supplies and establishing a more secure communication link." Nayara nodded, her eyes reflecting approval. "Your friends in the United Earth Space Force could be valuable allies. We welcome any support they can offer." Liana placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder, her touch reassuring. "You've brought us so much already, Ryan. Your friends will only make us stronger." Days turned into weeks, and the collaboration with the United Earth Space Force proved fruitful. Supplies and equipment arrived, helping the Amazons rebuild their village and enhance their defenses. The presence of Ryan's old comrades brought a sense of security and camaraderie, bridging the gap between the two cultures. One evening, a formal ceremony was held to celebrate the new alliance. The Amazons and the crew from the United Earth Space Force gathered in the village square, the atmosphere charged with hope and unity. Nayara stepped forward to address the assembly, her voice carrying a tone of reverence. "Tonight we celebrate not just the survival of our people, but the beginning of a new chapter. Thanks to Captain Ryan Hale and our new allies, we stand stronger than ever." Lieutenant Commander Mark Hayes spoke next, his admiration for the Amazons evident. "It's an honor to stand with you. The bravery and resilience of the Amazons have inspired us all. Together, we can achieve great things." The crowd erupted in applause, the spirit of unity palpable. As the celebration continued, Ryan found a moment of quiet reflection, standing on the outskirts of the gathering. Liana joined him, a contented smile on her face. "This is a new beginning for all of us," she said softly, looking at the mingling groups of Amazons and Earth soldiers. "We're stronger together." Ryan nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "It's amazing how far we've come. When I first arrived here, I never imagined we'd reach this point." Liana turned to face him, her eyes shining with gratitude and something deeper. "You've brought us hope, Ryan. Not just with your strength and skills, but with your heart. We're building a future together, and I'm glad to share it with you. Ryan felt a surge of emotion. The bond he shared with Liana and the Amazons, stronger than ever. I'm glad too. This is where I'm meant to be. As the celebration continued into the night, Ryan and Liana walked through the village, reflecting on the journey that had brought them together. The challenges they had faced and the victories they had won had forged an unbreakable bond, one that would carry them into the future. The new alliance with the United Earth Space Force marked a turning point, a symbol of hope and strength. With their combined efforts, the Amazons and their allies would protect their home and ensure a brighter future for generations to come. Ryan looked up at the stars, feeling a deep sense of peace and purpose. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but we're ready for it. Together, we can face anything. Liana squeezed his hand, her smile reflecting the same determination. Together. And so, under the vast expanse of the night sky, Ryan and the Amazons stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, their hearts and spirits intertwined in the shared promise of a better tomorrow. The new alliance brought hope and prosperity to the Amazon village, but peace was short-lived. As the Amazons and their allies from the United Earth Space Force worked on strengthening their defenses, a new and more sinister threat emerged. Reports began to trickle in of strange occurrences in the outer regions of the Thaloria system. Unidentified ships were spotted and entire settlements went silent, their inhabitants disappearing without a trace. The uneasy peace was shattered as the village received a distress call from a nearby Amazon outpost. Ryan Hale, now a respected leader among the Amazons, gathered a team to investigate. Liana, Lieutenant Commander Mark Hayes, and a squad of Amazon warriors joined him. "We need to find out what happened and ensure it doesn't reach our village," Ryan said, his voice filled with determination. "This could be something far more dangerous than we've faced before." The team boarded a shuttle and set course for the outpost. As they approached, the silence was eerie. The once bustling outpost was now a ghost town, with no signs of life or activity. They disembarked, weapons at the ready, and began to search the area. The outpost was in disarray, with signs of a struggle but no bodies. It was as if the inhabitants had simply vanished. "This isn't the work of the Draconians," Liana said, her voice tense. "This is something else." Ryan nodded, his senses on high alert. "We need to find clues and figure out who or what is behind this." As they explored, Mark discovered a damaged data terminal. "I might be able to recover some of the data," he said, his fingers flying over the controls. The terminal flickered to life, displaying fragmented messages and security footage. The images were disturbing, shadowy figures moving swiftly, their forms barely discernible. The outpost's inhabitants were overwhelmed in minutes, taken by the mysterious invaders. "This is bad," Mark said, his face pale. "These aren't just raiders, they're something else entirely." Back at the Amazon village, the leaders convened to discuss the findings. The footage and data retrieved from the outpost painted a grim picture. The invaders were unlike anything they had encountered before. Technologically advanced, highly organized, and ruthless. Nayara addressed the assembly, her expression grave. "We are facing a new enemy, one that poses a threat not only to our village but to the entire Thaloria system. We must prepare for the worst." Ryan stood beside her, his face set in determination. "We need to fortify our defenses and reach out to our allies. This enemy is powerful, but we are not alone. Together we can find a way to stop them." The village sprang into action, strengthening their defenses and preparing for the inevitable attack. Ryan and Liana worked tirelessly, coordinating with Mark and the United Earth Space Force to develop a strategy. As they prepared, Ryan couldn't shake a growing sense of foreboding. The invaders were unlike anything he had faced before, and he knew the battle ahead would test them all to their limits. One evening, as the preparations continued, Ryan and Liana found a moment of quiet by the edge of the village. The stars above seemed indifferent to the turmoil below, their cold light a stark contrast to the warmth of the village fires. "Do you think we're ready for this?" Liana asked, her voice a whisper. Ryan looked at her, his resolve unshaken. "We have to be. We've faced impossible odds before and come through stronger. This time will be no different." Liana nodded, drawing strength from his confidence. "We'll fight together no matter what." The days that followed were a flurry of activity. The Amazons and their allies worked around the clock, preparing for the battle they knew was coming. Scouts reported increased enemy activity in the outer regions, confirming their worst fears. The invaders were preparing for a large-scale assault. As the tension mounted, Ryan called a final meeting to solidify their plans. "We have a chance to turn the tide," he said, addressing the gathered warriors and leaders. "We know their tactics and we know their weaknesses. We need to strike hard and fast, take them by surprise." Mark added, "We've developed countermeasures to their technology. If we can disrupt their command structure, we can create enough chaos to gain the upper hand." Nyara's eyes blazed with determination. "We fight not just for our village, but for all of Thaloria. This is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have." The battle plan was set, and the stage was ready. As the village prepared for the imminent assault, Ryan and Liana stood together, looking out over the defenses they had built. "This is it," Ryan said quietly. "Everything we've done has led to this moment." Liana squeezed his hand, her grip firm and reassuring. "We'll face it together, Ryan. No matter what happens, we stand as one." As the sun set, casting long shadows over the village, the first signs of the approaching enemy appeared on the horizon. The final battle was about to begin, and the fate of Thaloria hung in the balance. With their hearts united and their resolve unbreakable, Ryan, Liana, and the Amazons prepared to defend their home against the greatest threat they had ever faced. The enemy ships appeared on the horizon, dark and foreboding against the twilight sky. The Amazon village was ready, every warrior in position, their faces set with determination. The air was thick with tension as Ryan Hale stood at the forefront, his heart pounding with anticipation. "Hold your positions," Ryan called out, his voice steady and strong. "Wait for my signal." The enemy advanced, their ranks disciplined and their movements precise. The invaders, clad in dark armor, moved like a well-oiled machine, their intent clear and merciless. Ryan watched them approach, his mind racing with strategies and contingencies. As the enemy drew closer, Ryan raised his hand. "Now!" The Amazon warriors unleashed a barrage of arrows and energy blasts, catching the invaders off guard. The first wave of enemies fell, but more pressed forward, their determination unwavering. Ryan and Liana led the charge, their weapons cutting through the enemy ranks with precision and fury. The battlefield was a cacophony of shouts, explosions, and the clash of weapons. Ryan fought with every ounce of strength and skill he possessed, his movements a blur as he defended his home and his newfound family. Liana was at his side, her presence a constant source of strength and inspiration. "We can't let them breach the defenses!" Liana shouted, her voice carrying over the din of battle. "We won't," Ryan replied, his eyes fierce with resolve. "We hold the line no matter what." The enemy's advance slowed as the Amazons' coordinated attacks took their toll. Ryan's tactical brilliance and the Amazons' unparalleled combat skills created a formidable defense. But the enemy was relentless, and the battle showed no signs of abating. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the battlefield. Ryan turned to see a group of invaders breaching a critical point in the village's defenses. "Liana, with me. We need to stop them." They raced toward the breach, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. The invaders were attempting to destroy the village's power source, a move that would cripple their defenses and spell disaster for the Amazons. "We have to hold them off until reinforcements arrive," Ryan shouted, engaging the enemy with renewed ferocity. Liana fought beside him, her movements fluid and deadly. "We can do this, Ryan, we have to." The battle raged on, each second feeling like an eternity. Ryan and Liana's efforts inspired the other warriors, who rallied and pushed back the invaders. Slowly but surely, the tide of battle began to turn in their favor. The enemy's lines began to falter under the relentless assault. Ryan's strategic mind seized the opportunity. "Press the attack, don't give them a chance to regroup." The Amazons surged forward, their battle cries echoing across the battlefield. The invaders, sensing their impending defeat, began to retreat. Ryan and Liana led the final push, driving the enemy from their village and securing their hard-won victory. As the last of the invaders fled, a cheer erupted from the Amazon ranks. The battlefield, now silent save for the sounds of the wounded and the victorious, stood as a testament to their bravery and resilience. Ryan looked around, his heart swelling with pride. "We did it," he said, turning to Liana. "We protected our home." Liana smiled, her face streaked with dirt and sweat but her eyes shining with triumph. Together, we were unstoppable. In the days that followed, the village began to rebuild once more. The Amazons and their allies worked tirelessly to repair the damage and care for the wounded. The bond between the two groups grew stronger, forged in the fires of battle and the promise of a shared future. A formal ceremony was held to honor the bravery and sacrifice of those who had fought. Nyara stood before the gathered warriors and allies, her voice filled with pride and gratitude. Today we celebrate not just our victory but the unity and strength that brought us here. Thanks to Captain Ryan Hale and our allies from the United Earth Space Force, we stand stronger than ever. Together we will face whatever challenges come our way. Ryan stepped forward, his heart full as he addressed the assembly. It has been an honor to fight beside you all. We've proven that no matter the odds, we can overcome anything when we stand together. This is just the beginning of our journey. Together, we will build a future filled with hope and prosperity. As the ceremony ended, Ryan found a moment of quiet reflection. He stood on a hill overlooking the village, watching as life slowly returned to normal. Liana joined him, her presence a comforting reminder of all they had achieved. "We've come so far," Liana said softly, her hand finding his. "And there's so much more ahead." Ryan nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. This is our home, our family, and our future." Under the vast expanse of the night sky, Ryan and Liana stood united, ready to embrace whatever challenges and adventures awaited them. The bonds they had forged and the victories they had won had created a legacy of courage and unity that would inspire generations to come. And so, with hearts full of hope and determination, they looked to the future, confident that as long as they stood together, they could overcome any obstacle and build a world where peace and prosperity reigned.